Today on the podcast, my guest is Brock French. Brock is a Marine and the president and founder of the Wounded Veterans Foundation, based here in Yorktown, Indiana. Brock, thanks for coming out. How you doing today?
Thank you for having me.
As I mentioned, you're a Marine. When did you go into the Marines?
I was in from 2009 to 2013. Before that, I signed up in high school with the DEP program with my best friend Tyler Holding. We both kind of went in together, and we went through. We started, the DEP program, and we went through all the stages, literally MEPS and everything. We did it all together, so we went through everything and ended up actually stationed close to each other as well.
Why the Marines?
Now, some people listening to this are going to get a laugh, but
I got to put you on the spot because I know there's going to be Army guys and Navy guys listening.
Yeah, it's because I wanted to be the best. And, when you think of the most elite fighting force, you think of the Marines. And so I went with the Marines.
Now, I always hear that, the Marines, it's the toughest. It has the least amount of people in it. What separates the Marines from other branches?
It's often the mindset and the extreme situations that the Marines go through. There's like this mindset that's just beaten into Marines. The never give up, the continuous fight, the die before dishonor kind of thing. You'll go. You will literally die for the people next to you, and that's a lot of branches. But Marines are they're a different breed. I mean, it's kind of like you got to be a little psychotic. Yeah. Actually, I would say a little bit.
It's just a different mentality that you have.
Yeah, just a touch of it.
Yeah, and I've had guys tell me that. Yeah, the Marines, those guys are different animals.
Yeah. We're very different, and that we pride ourselves on that. And we see nothing as a obstacle in our way. We plow through everything that we possibly can.
So in 2013, you get out of the Marines. What was your next step?
So that was a pretty depressing stage. I think that's kind of like a thing that happens with everybody, is kind of like you get out, you go through this like depressed stage. But I started working at High Pro Filtration in Anderson, and I was building high-pressure filtering units for oil companies and nuclear factories and basically these different assemblies. And Hi-Pro created this, really, really well-built filter. And so we would create the systems, and they would just basically pump. We sent them down to the oil rigs and all sorts of stuff. And I started working there, but I still didn't really feel like there's the best high that I would ever say that was in my life was when I was in Afghanistan. And then, serving your country back in the States, there's still that high, like you're feeling like you're doing something every day, even though you're not directly there, you still feel like you're doing something. And then when you get out, literally all of that comes crashing down. So when I started working at High Pro, that's what I still felt that, even though I had a job and I was supporting my wife and I was doing things, we were buying a house, there was still that massive crush down of, I just wasn't doing anything. And it started to kind of, bother me a little bit, but.
So you miss that feeling of serving, and also guys I've talked to is that camaraderie with your.
Oh yeah.
With your.
Other people, the other Marines and stuff. That was one thing too. Is there was a big life changer was when I got out. It was like we were, you always had people around you. So, and I'm a social butterfly. I'll literally talk to a wall. You could write some questions on the wall and I'll talk to it.
Yeah.
But you go from every weekend you've got all these friends and people around you to do stuff, and you always know that those people are there for you. To getting out, you're back at home. And I would say for a lot of the people that are in the military, you go back to the same people that you actually were getting away from. So, you go back to the situations of these people that are on drugs, and, they're in the same, they're still, smoking pot in their mom's house. So it's like you literally come home to this completely different environment. Mm-hmm. And so, you miss that camaraderie. You miss all those people that are driven and, have the same fighting, emotional fighting setup in their brain that they just want to keep going. And then you come back and it's like, boom.
Yeah, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of civilians wired like a Marine.
No.
Did that lead to you wanting to start the foundation, or was there another path to that? Like, what kind of started the idea of the foundation?
So the foundation kind of got started off of my own, I don't know what you would say, self-wallow. It kind of all started off of, like I was saying, I was really depressed when I got out. I felt like I wanted to do something, but I didn't want to donate to a nonprofit or anything that, do the little finger quotation thing here. They can't see it, but I'm doing the finger quotation thing. A nonprofit. And I say that lightly because a lot of them don't do what they're supposed to do, or don't do at least what they could do. And that is a big issue for me. So I said, well, I want to do something for my brothers and sisters out there that, need it, that have been hurt in the service. I personally wasn't, other than my back and shoulder and stuff like that, other little things. But, the ones that have jumped out of airplanes and landed wrong, and the ones that have gotten limbs blown off, and all these different things that they're now living with today. And I wanted to help them. So I decided that I was going to do a motorcycle ride. And with that motorcycle ride, I chose to do, I bounced around some numbers, and I chose to do 5 veterans and different eras. So that's one thing that's very important to me, is that we help all eras, not just the current and future. So, so what I did was I found 5 guys, and each one of them have a different story. One was shrapnel, one was IED explosion, and it actually bursted his eardrum, and just all sorts of different stuff. And so we had those guys come out, and we made T-shirts with their names on them, and we honored them that day. That was their day, and we still do this, by the way. And so they came out, they told their stories, they said what happened, where they were at, and all these different sort of things. So we, after doing that for a few years, I saw some stuff on the news, and I saw other organizations and how funds were used. So I said, I literally can remember it to this day. I was sitting on my couch, actually sitting right where I still play video games all the time. And I'm sitting there on my phone, and I scroll on Facebook, and I see this article about another veteran nonprofit. And I'm starting to read the article. I'm reading about where funds are spent, and I'm reading all these things, and I'm just like, man, that is, there has to be something. There has to be somebody that can do something better than that, and it's just triggered in my head. And I'm just like, you know what? Not only am I already doing something to try to help veterans locally, but I want to branch that, and I want to help them on a big scale. And so I'm sitting there, and I just looked at my wife, and I'm like, you know what? I can do better than that. I can start something. I can make something run to literally help all eras of veterans and help all these veterans all over the U.S., as many as we possibly can. And, funds willing. But, I had that self-depression that was there already, that I wasn't doing enough. And that's what drove me into the motorcycle ride, which then drove me into the foundation.
How did you go about starting the foundation? How'd that process go?
So first I had to do a lot of research and kind of figure out what it takes to start a nonprofit, a 501c3. And so I found out a lot of information, how to run them, what you do, board members, all these different sort of things. And so I had a buddy that had started one, and this is basically a nonprofit that takes veterans to concerts, and they meet the Five Finger Death Punch, or different other. I'm a big rock band, so that's the first thing that comes to my head. But they take them up to all these, and they meet them, and it's it's cool for the day for that veteran, and they get to meet them all. So I spoke with him, and I found the lady that did his, and she just said, yeah, I'll do yours as well, as long as you just come back and you submit your taxes with us every year. And so it's it's a win-win situation. She has experience, and I'm just bringing my taxes to her every year for the foundation. So Yeah, so I went to her and we just, we signed all up. It's basically a completely online process nowadays. You had to request the forms or print the forms and then submit the forms, and it's a really long, drawn out process. But now everything is online. Literally, you submit all your information, what you're wanting to do. It's a long process, but it's a lot easier than the paperwork. And then you go on to you go to like Indiana, and you get incorporated within Indiana, and yeah, so you just kind of run with it from there, and they either say yes or no, and they give you your tax ID number and all sorts of stuff like that.
What kind of hurdles did you guys face in the beginning?
Oh, gosh, it's been a long stretch. So the biggest hurdle, and that we still face today, which is people confusing us with another veteran organization. So our logo is the silhouette of a soldier and a dog. And there's another veteran organization with a silhouette, but not us. And people confuse us with them. And it's the same organization that I previously spoke of about the negative things. And that's why I started mine. So they confused us with them, and that kind of became an issue because we kept telling people, like, they would walk up to us and we'd say, have you ever heard of us? And they say, oh, yeah, I already know all about you guys and this and that and that. And I'd say, well, what do you know, or are you thinking of this named organization? And they would say, yeah. And I'm like, well, reread the title, because that's not us. We are very different in this aspect. So that was our biggest hurdle. That and coming up with funds to do stuff.
Yeah.
That's right now, thanks to a couple big organizations for veterans, there isn't a lot of support for veteran organizations because they say, well, that could just be a fraud. They're pocketing the money or this and that and that. And with us, everything is very transparent. Every board member has access to our every single transaction. All funds go into our account. It all is logged, and everything is all set up so everybody can see it at any time. You can ask our tax lady.
Yeah.
You can see all of that, and it's also all online as well, so you can see everything that we do. But yeah, that's the one. So I guess the answer to that would technically be that the biggest hurdle is getting over the negative stereotypes, and it still is. We're creating a new stereotype within ourselves, but there's still that negative lag that's kind of pulling us a little bit. But it's okay. It's a challenge, and I'm up for it.
Now I notice you keep omitting the name
Uh,
of the organization.
Do you want to know why?
And that's fine. I think a lot of people can Google it and look at 2016 to a specific event and make your own judgment. I did quite a bit of research after I met you about it, and I understand what you're saying. Now you guys got this off the ground, got going, got funds going. What kind of services do you offer to veterans?
So we do 3 different things right now, and this year we just opened the newest department, which is General Assistance. So with General Assistance, veterans come to us. They are in some sort of bind. They're going to be either, hey, I'm behind on my electricity bill or my car payment. It's our only vehicle. Like, I need to be able to do this. So what we do is we provide them with some of that financial help. With that, we also require a summary or an overlook of their finances with Prudential, because Prudential came to us and said, hey, one, we want to volunteer with you guys. Our employees are very veteran oriented. And 2, is there anything we can do to help? And it just so happens that it's, a weird fluke, but just so happens that we are literally starting this General Assistance Department, and then they contact us right before we kick it off in January. So spoke with them. So that really works out really well, because they can go over everything with them, these people, and say, listen, you're spending so much money here. Let's help you and get back on track. Or when you are on track, maybe we can help you set up for retirement, like help you get everything moving in the process to better your life.
So it's you guys kind of help them in the tight spot.
Right.
Whether it be bills due, medical bills due, whatever. But Prudential actually takes over and works on a budget plan going forward with them.
Right. And the reason behind that is because we only help one veteran. We only help a veteran once a year. So if they need help in January, they can't get help until next January. So that's an important factor, and we want to help them long term, and that's everything that we focus on is long term. It's tomorrow, the next day, the week after, the 10 years down the road. So that's where we direct most of our funds to, and within the other two departments, which I'll go into. So by having Prudential help them, we are actually benefiting them in the future. Whereas if we just handed money to the electric company, if we hand the money over, next month it may be still the same issue. We have to figure out how to fix the issue if there is an issue. And if there's not an issue and it's just a weird fluke, at least it's been reviewed and somebody could say, you look like you're good on track, good luck. So either way, it's beneficial.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Because, if you don't fix the problem,
yeah,
the next month's going to come, then the following month, and then it's just a cycle.
It's a never-ending cycle. And how do you end the cycle without somebody at least helping you overlook it, an outside person overlook it? Because oftentimes we don't know how much we spend. Like you and I were previously talking. Sometimes when I really calculate the amount of bourbon that I have bought and the price of it, I really should probably. I look at it and I go, man, okay, hold on a second.
If everyone would just look at their own budget, there's some things in there you're like,
yeah,
you probably do better.
How much did I spend on fast food this month? So, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of factors that you can look into, and a lot of that stuff it was very briefly given or taught to us while we were in the service, but there's so many of us that it really wasn't. It was really more of like hey, if you need help, balancing your stuff, get with me. It's like, yeah, oh, okay, and then you forget all about it. So that's one thing. It's really important. It's important to help them long term. The other thing we do is service dogs. So with service dogs, we know that the service dogs can literally save veterans' lives. So the veterans are either suffering from PTSD, and that could be within large crowds. It can be sleeping. It can be just driving down the road. There's so many different things that affect through PTSD. And with that, those service dogs will catch it, and they will either distract the veteran, or they will, get their attention in some sort of way, or just being there alone. Just being there will help them calm down and get through an issue. So with the service dogs, they're always by their side. They help them. They can even help them, remember to take their medication. So we can put a vest on a dog, and they can put a stopwatch on their or alarm on their dog vest. And every time that alarm goes off, the dog then walks over to the veteran, and that's a reminder of like, hey, I need to take my medicine. So it's really important that these veterans that need it have them and have another avenue of help, because you can go to counseling, you can go to all that, you can go to things once a month or once a week, but the rest of the time that you are by yourself, or technically by yourself in your head, you don't think about the counseling, you don't think about it, the help that the VA offers or anything like that, and that dog is literally beside you at all times.
Yeah, because people like that can be alone in a crowd.
Yeah, exactly. I could be walking down and just be completely thinking of something else, and I not realize anything else is around me. But so those dogs they're great. So the process that we have with those is they can either train their own dog, and which means we help them select a dog, or they have their own dog, and it has to fit temperament measures. So we will send the veteran and their dog to a facility, and they will train together to be a service dog. We have the process where we can have a dog trained, and which costs a lot more, and that dog is trained to the specific needs of each veteran. Then we can also have our foundation trainers, which we have a couple foundation trainers as well. And so if you're listening and you're interested in being a foundation trainer, jump on our website, but and just hit the contact and everything, but you can figure that out. So we just, we basically provide them with different options. The best option in my view, and the best option that I think is the one, the most beneficial to the veteran, and two, the most beneficial to the dog, is we take the veteran and the dog and we send them to training. Because if you send a dog to a facility and that dog gets trained for the veteran, the veteran doesn't understand all the processes behind the training, and they don't understand that, you have to be constant with the dog or the dog forgets. It's like training a dog to sit or roll over, and then you don't ever you don't ever tell the dog to roll over and reward it for the training for the next 5 years, and then you try to have the dog do it again, and it's like, well, I don't understand what you're saying. So having the veteran trained as well, it keeps up on the dog's training. It keeps up on his, mental mindset that, oh, hey, I need to, you didn't let me walk through first. This is something we need to touch on training. So doing that's the best route. Not only that, but it also, to me, it shows that the veteran has an invested interest in making sure that this dog can help them. We have actually gotten a lot of requests where they don't want to go through any of that process, but they just want a dog. And a lot of times we're like, well, let's figure something else out, because if we spend $10,000 on a dog and you take this dog and then it turns into a pet, we've literally just wasted $10,000. And that $10,000 could have helped 10 veterans going into a program where it's maybe $1,000 a veteran, and them and their dog go in for the training. And so, there's a cost, benefit there where we can try to help more and also work it out better that way.
Yeah, you don't want to waste funds, like you said, on basically a pet.
Yeah, a lot of times it does become a pet. It really does. I mean, because they forget that when it's at home, it still thinks it needs to work. But they take out the home portion and they say, well, you're at home now. And then the dog starts to, well, I don't really need it to go with me here and stuff like that. And by going to the training, you actually learn all of these things, and you learn what the dog needs to do, and then you can look at it and go, wait a second, that wasn't right. Let's get back on track and train it more, or anything like that. I mean, it's much more beneficial to have the veteran know what needs to be done and have their own invested interest in it as well. So that's our service dog department. With that, we also have our housing department. So with housing, it's the housing one is very unique in the aspect that we don't build the houses, which a lot of organizations build a whole house. They buy a property and they build this whole house. We don't. We go in and we actually remodel the houses. So when we first initially walk into a veteran's home, they put in the application for this process, and we'll go into the home and we look at the home and we go, okay, hold on, let's figure out if you have a walker, if you have a wheelchair, what do we need to do so you can get around your home? So one house in Fort Wayne that we did, we completely eliminated 90% of a wall. I mean, there was a wall that divided the kitchen and the living room. We wiped it all out. And that way, the veteran could use his electric wheelchair to get through and be more fluid throughout his home. Next thing we did was we took all the carpet out. Me and other volunteers ripped all the carpet out of the house, and we opened up the doorways. We put 30, I think those were all 32-inch or 36-inch doorways, so that way he could just basically get down the hallway and pivot, and it would roll right into a room, and it was more basically so he can get around better. So anyway, and then we took out another wall in a bedroom and made it into one large bedroom, so the bed could be in the center and he had more access to the side of his bed. We didn't touch the bathroom. The VA already had provided for that bathroom, which is a hard process. If you get accepted through the VA's the remodeling thing that they do there, it's impressive. We've heard a lot that haven't. So we didn't touch that. We had the roof was leaking. We couldn't leave the roof, so luckily we found a organization, more or less a group of individuals, and one of them owned a roofing company. So the insurance paid only so much, so that's only how much he took. And that was the problem for Pete, was that he couldn't get a roofing company to come out and actually do it, because it wasn't the insurance wouldn't pay enough to do it. So he came out with his crew, and they completely did it all and did it for him under the cost.
When you guys go do these houses, how much is volunteer help, and how much is a paid contractor?
So it's all paid contractor, and then we have volunteers come out if possible. So, and then those volunteers only do certain things. So say like if there's cleanup, if we're ripping a wall out and we've got drywall over the floor, it's a lot faster process if we have a volunteer there where they grab this drywall pieces and they put it in a trash bag, and then they're sweeping up, because even sweeping cuts a lot of time. If you really think about it, if you're ripping a whole bunch of drywall off and you're beating out studs and stuff like that, it's everywhere. So you're cleaning it up as it's going, and that allows that person to keep moving, and that person's a certified person to do it. Whereas, you get a bunch of volunteers in and it's like, Joe Blow has a little bit of experience in plumbing. It's like, maybe we shouldn't use Joe Blow. Yeah, because when that leak occurs, we're going to be responsible for it. So everything that we do, we contract out. We make sure that it's all done properly. Everything is done the right way. We, if there's something wrong with the house and it's within our ability to fix it while we're there, we fix it. We try to leave them in a much better state than what they previously were, which is the whole goal anyway. So another home that we did in Fort Wayne was we did a ramp on the back. We changed the door on the back of it to a massive oversized door to roll in instead of the sliding glass door. We completely redid the bathroom. And it was a one-piece roll-in bathtub, and it was a monster. Okay, I helped get it into the house and everything, but the problem was it was fortunate that we were already opening all the doorways, because this bathtub or this roll-in bath shower setup was so large that we couldn't get it through the original door. So we were already opening the doorway. So we had already beat out everything, got the header and everything open, and we kept the shower for almost 2 weeks in the dining room until we got all that out of the way and got the bathroom gutted. And then we slid the new shower setup into the bathroom. And we've done quite a bit of things where we just basically redo the entire bathroom, and most situations for veterans that are either walker, wheelchair, or anything like that, the bathroom is the biggest hurdle. They can oftentimes get around their home with a little bit of help from here and there, but when you're getting in the bathtub, you can't really use your walker too much. So that's actually another case where we had in Portland, Indiana, where we had a veteran who was basically not able to really get his leg over the tub and needed help to shower, and he wanted a little bit more independence, and hey, I need some help. My bathroom is not set up for me to be able to get around it. It's really tight. So we went into that one and completely stripped it as well, and put another completely, this one was a 2-piece this time, so this was a lot easier.
A little less weight coming in.
Yeah, and a lot easier to move around. So we put a 2-piece in, and now he's able to just walk right into his shower. It's at an angle, so no water gets all over the floor or anything like that. We put handles all over the walls and basically set it up so now he's at least comfortable with that situation. Because that's one of the things that we say is that we can never fix the situation that they're in body-wise, but we can at least adjust their living situation and help them with that living situation and make it more comfortable for the rest of their lives.
That's excellent what you guys do. Like I said, it seems like just some not minor adjustments to the house, but not a whole new house. Just some adjustments, some renovation can really make a difference in someone's life.
It does. I mean, it literally changes their lives.
You guys started out in 2016.
Yes.
How much have you guys grown?
So in 2016, we were purely local, but the Marine in me has no boundaries to stop pushing. So we basically, a lot of my friends from the Marine Corps kind of saw what was going on and said, hey, what is this that you do? Is it with this organization? I'm like, absolutely not with that organization, but this is what I started. And so they say, well, what can I do? And I'm like, well, we could use regional reps. And if we can expand to other states by regional reps. So it's kind of grown off of that and me asking like, hey, we don't have anybody in Florida, or we don't have anybody in, where's our furthest one? Arizona, or anything like that. I haven't really touched the left side of the United States yet, but it's going to get there. So, we're currently within the last 3 years, we're in 32 states. We have regional reps, and those regional reps, they will cover a 250-mile radius. And that's roughly, depending on where you live, it's roughly 6 to 8 hours max of driving, realistically. But what we do is, any of these projects that we have, those regional reps will handle them. They'll handle all of the details on it. So what we do, say for like service dog department. So one of those 32 states, we have a veteran that's requesting a service dog, and we're going to send them to a facility. One thing that we don't do is send a veteran to a facility before we ever know what the facility looks like. So we're going to send a regional rep to that facility. They're going to look through it, and they're going to go, okay, yeah, they're going to report back to the board member that runs that department, and they will go, yes, it looks great. Everything's cool. You know, it's a good facility. It's not somebody's garage, or, you know, you're not going to bring it to somebody's house and walk them around their living room for the next 2 hours every Saturday or something. So, we send them there. Another thing they do is they're going to go for the housing projects. They're going to go into the veteran's home. They're going to take notes. They're going to take pictures. They're going to give all that to the board member that runs that department, and they're going to, you know, look through all of that, and they're going to go, okay, we can definitely increase that door. We can increase that door, and then that board member will send a few contractors out there, and those contractors will do the job, and then the regional rep will basically just check in periodically. So maybe, you know, if it's a month or month and a half process of work, then they'll check in every other weekend or something and just look through it and take pictures and, you know, kind of show that everything is going okay, and just to double check on it. We want to make sure that everything is perfect for the veteran, and that way they're not left with any issues or anything.
So it's kind of ran like a company. I mean, you got the board of directors, and then it filters down to your regional reps.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with that structure?
I just did.
Just thought about it one day?
Yeah, I was like, well, you know, what can we do? First of all, we had to establish the board and the voting and how all that sort of stuff works out, and we established that it works really well. And I was you know, so we have different tiers. We have the president, we have the board members, then we have the regional representatives, we have trustees, and we have volunteers. So everything was just kind of like what do I give this title to? What happens with that title? And I just kind of did it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, it's just.
Hey, I mean, if it works.
Yeah, it was just like, well, how do we do this? And then I've actually. Other nonprofits, other organizations have taken my structure and used it into their organizations.
Well, it sounds efficient.
Yeah, I mean, it works.
I mean, you guys are in 32 states.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to do for one person or just a group of people here and centrally located.
Yeah, it might work a little bit. So.
Fundraising, because you said that was one of the hardest things, obviously, you know, for a nonprofit. How are some ways you guys raise money?
So the biggest way that we raise funds is going to be our own events. Primarily, our biggest event is the motorcycle ride, which we previously spoke of. And with that, I think last year we had around 325 motorcycles, and a lot of those had passengers. So it was roughly 800 plus people. So that brings in a lot of the funds. We also sell a lot of our own merchandise as well, shirts and hats and
the shirts are awesome.
Mugs. And
I was on the website the other day checking out. I'm like, I might have to get one of those. Those are nice looking shirts.
Thank you. And the really cool thing about those shirts as well is we buy the same exact shirts that Grunt Style buys, the canvas shirts, but we just don't cut the tag out. Only difference. Literally the only difference is they snip the tag out, they stamp their name in it. We don't do that. We just leave the tag in. So they're same breathable, really comfortable shirts. So we sell those as well at this ride. We do Operation Black Tie. We do a golf outing. We have another veteran working on another one. So every board member within our foundation also does their own event. So being a board member isn't just as easy as saying, yes, I agree with that, let's do it, or no, let's not do it. It's literally you're running a department. You're voting on things that better or worse, they're only going to be better because I'll veto anything that says that's going to be worse for the foundation. But and then you're also going to do events every year. We also do events on the weekends. So board member is a very strenuous thing, and it's 100% volunteer. The entire nonprofit is a volunteer base. So all of these board members are absolutely amazing people. They literally bust their butts, and we spend time and time going to events to raise funds, doing our own events to raise funds. So we do our own events. We do the thing I briefly just said was we also go to events to raise a lot of our funds. So we will get a booth. We'll get a 10 by 20 or preferably a 10 by 20 with all the stuff that we have. And we'll set out our shirts. We'll set out all sorts of stuff. We will literally stand there for 12 hours or more a day just talking to people and trying to tell people about what we do so we can get more awareness of what we're doing. And while we're doing that, we're selling shirts and hats and cups and, stickers, card decals, all sorts of different things. And that's another way we raise funds. I mean, we could do thousands of dollars for a weekend if it's a big weekend in Indy or something like that. And it's really beneficial because it puts our logo on somebody's back and they literally walk around wearing these cool shirts. And then also it raises funds to then go into the account. So as soon as somebody has a request, it's not like, the second project we did in Fort Wayne was literally we have to save funds to get to your house. And that's kind of what happened. It was like, 8 months later, we had enough funds to actually hit that house and do everything. And it was I think $18,000 that we actually had to do on that house. So it was a process.
What type of events do you guys go to and set up at? Like, where could we find you guys at? Especially like this summer when all the stuff's going on.
Well, the biggest one, there's two of our biggest ones. One is the Boat Sport and Travel Show, and that's in Indy, and that's roughly 100,000 people throughout the week.
I'll be there the first Friday when it opens.
Yep. So will we. We do that one, and then we also do the Four Wheel Jamboree. In Indy, awesome. The people at the Four Wheel Jamboree are the most American-loving people that you'll ever find. Like, they are absolutely awesome people.
I'm sure they know their demographic that's going to be there at the Four Wheel Jamboree.
Yeah,
that's awesome though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a great event.
Yeah, we've done a lot of events, and the first 2 years that we were going, we were basically doing events every other weekend or at least once a month. Now we've kind of pulled back on the reins a little bit and figured out what has worked best, what has raised the most funds, because each event costs money to get in, and then you have your cost of each shirt and what it costs to make the shirt, and then we have to figure out business wise. I mean, it's really, you got to run a nonprofit like a business, so you have to calculate like what is going to be our profit margin once we hit. How much do we have to sell? How much do we have to do to hit the amount that we paid to even be here, and then the climb after that. So, I mean, we've figured out what works best and what events are the best to raise the most funds, and that's the ones we go to. We do, the Cumberland, the Bridge Festival right here, and
up in Matthews.
Yeah, Matthews, and that was actually that was the first event we ever did, and we started that event. My wife and I. That was it. My wife and I, all 3 days. We had koozies, as in can cooler koozies. We had bottles, and we had wristbands. That was it. It literally started from scratch. I mean, literally, like, what will sell and help us start building this nonprofit. And we said, well, this is, these have a good profit margin, let's do them. And so we just literally sat out there with 3 different things and handed them out, and we received donations for them, and it started from there. And now we have our clothing line, and we have hats, and
your guys' growth in less than 3 years is incredible. You started off with koozies at the Matthews Covered Bridge Festival, and now you're in 32 states, and for your Four Wheel Jamboree and the boat show. And
we have people actually at Four Wheel Jamboree and the boat show and stuff that look for our booth specifically. They go there. We were actually, when we were pulling up to the Four Wheel Jamboree, we were pulling up in our van and our trailer, and it's all wrapped and everything, and we're getting to our spot that we always have, and there's a group of people waiting. They're standing there, they're looking around, and they're pointing, and I recognize them from last year. I always remember faces. I don't remember names for anything, but I can remember a face, and I recognized one of them, and I rolled down our window and I said, "You guys looking for us?" And they turn around and they're like, "Oh, there you guys are." So they were literally standing there patiently waiting for our booth to get there so they could say. And as soon as we got there, they were like, "How easy would it be to grab some shirts? We're looking for these different, we want this one." And it's awesome. It's really awesome to see people supporting and knowing what we're doing, and then also following us and kind of seeing the growth and seeing these veterans we help, and because we always do videos and everything. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's enlightening to kind of see the difference.
Where are you guys going to be at the boat show so people can find you?
We are in the hunting and fishing area. It's kind of like a mix of everything. If you're not motorcycle boats or campers, you're kind of in an area off to that side. So we're over there. It's
the Marsh Pavilion, maybe.
Oh gosh,
I can't remember. I know that's kind of like a mix of everything.
You'd have to ask my wife. We probably should have had her here because she'll probably know more than I do. But she does all of our event coordinating, so she's the event coordinator for the foundation, and she got us in the building where they do the dog lunges, the dog jumps, and all that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
there's for anyone who's going to the boat show, there's a vendor list. You can look them up, find them, check them out.
Yep, and it also gives the booth, and you can get a little map and all sorts of stuff like that. It's really probably I've been going to it, which is cool. I've been going to it since I was a little kid. My dad took me there when I was a kid, and we'd go up in, on the docks or the docks. It looks like a dock, but where they build those ramps up, and you can walk into the boats and down inside these different boats.
Yep, I've been going since I was a kid too, man.
I wish they would bring that back, but they didn't see as much profit out of bringing those big boats. But so I've been going there since I was a kid, and then start the foundation, and it was just like, well, this is one of the biggest events in Indiana that I can even think of. So yeah, we do that one. We do another. We didn't go last year because I think we had conflicting events or with not enough people to do it or something. But we do the Marion Airstrip Attack, which is really cool. It's exotic cars, not really exotic. Well, there's quite a few exotic cars, but it's really just high horsepower cars. I mean, there are the last one that we went to, the Lamborghini beat the world's fastest half mile, and it was like 260, or it was way up there. It's very, very fast Lamborghini. So that one's a fun one. That one's really more of a just talking to different people, kind of socializing it. But
is that Marion, Indiana, right? Mm-hmm. That's their airfield.
Yeah, it's called the Indy Airstrip Attack, but it's in Marion.
Okay.
So yeah, we do that. We do that. The other one, we also, if there's a big event in another state, we'll load up the van and the trailer if we have to. But usually we have like a little cargo thing that hooks to the back of the van. So we'll use that, load it up with everything, and we'll go down for it and be there for the weekend or something like that. And it just helps us spread and helps us tell people about us and, hey, wear our shirt, and we're in North Carolina, we're in all these different states and stuff like that. So
yeah. What are ways people can either donate, and if they can't donate with money, maybe their time or energy?
So they can donate by just going on our website, which is just woundedveteransfoundation.com. The other way, they can either send us a check. You can find that on there. Our P.O. box, everything's on there, which is more of the common way that a lot of people send us. Some people have the reoccurring through our website. They can just reoccur, $50 a month or something like that, and it just automatically does it. And then also all of that is tracked, and we keep that through an Excel sheet. So at the end of the year, everybody gets a printed receipt basically for taxes, so they can submit that for their taxes. And so that's the two different ways. The way they can volunteer is we have different tiers of volunteering. Or you can apply to be a board member. You can apply to be a regional rep and all sorts of different stuff. So that's all on our website. It's all on right there on a tab right there. You can fill it out, and you put all your information in, and you can join us.
Do you have to be a vet to be on the board or a rep?
You don't. So we actually have two board members currently that aren't veterans. And most of them have family that are veterans, or they have a passion about veterans, and they love our country and stuff like that. But and the reason that we originally, when I come up with it, I said, well, we need to have only veterans on the board. But that causes an issue because, one, a lot of veterans don't want to do it. They want to help, but they don't want to help on that constant need that we have for help. So the other one is these people, they're very veteran supporting, and they just want to be a part of it, and they want to make a difference to these veterans and show their support. So, what's wrong with not having them on there? Also, it gives a different perspective on a lot of things because veterans have, we can be very hard-headed. I'm a very hard-headed individual. I will run through a wall until I freaking die. Like I will keep pushing, and it doesn't matter what the challenge. I'm hard-headed. I won't stop. A lot of civilians are different. They see things differently than we do. You know, we've been to different places. We see things. We've developed a mindset or developed a way of thinking because of the military. So by having people that aren't veterans on our board, it brings a different insight and, you know, like into the community, the people that we're trying to reach to gain funds or show support or anything like that. So they bring a different insight. They help us in a different way because, you know, most of us veterans think often the same way.
Yeah. Just having different points of view or different ideas is always a good idea.
Right.
So on top of growing this foundation from the Matthews Covered Bridge Festival to 32 states, I saw you just applied for the LSAT.
Yeah. So when I was at High Pro, I went on vacation. I took my first vacation from High Pro, and I went down to Kentucky, and I was when I was down there, our neighbor, Rachel and I's neighbor, lives in Alabama, and we weren't too far from him. We were going to the Jamestown distillery anyway, so he met us up. He came up and met us, and we had lunch and everything with him. And he was telling me about the VA, and how the VA will pay for your school and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, well, you know, if they're paying me to go to school and they're paying for the school, then, you know, let's figure this out. So at the time, I was also still coaching wrestling at Central, and I was helping with that as much as I can, and I was trying to make a difference there. So I was like, well, you know, I want to be a teacher. I want to make a difference in these kids, and hopefully I can, you know, steer them in the right direction before it's too late. Well, after talking with my dad and kind of, you know, figuring out my passions and stuff, I kind of veered away from that, along with the mindset of a lot of the teenagers and stuff today aren't exactly of a Marine. Yeah. So, you know, talking back and not having any work ethic or, you know, all these different things, just, I can't say what I want to say, and I'll probably get in trouble being a teacher. 100%. So I realized, I was like, maybe being a teacher isn't quite the thing I need to do. And I was talking with my dad, and I was seeing, you see a lot of lawyers today that are, they're in a system of corruption. A lot of the lawyers won't do things, even if they know it's the right thing. They won't do it because it looks bad to the other lawyers, or it looks bad on them by fighting a decision or anything like that. So they will often take things, or they'll accept things because they don't want a negative look on them. And to me, that is incredibly wrong. You know, you're not representing somebody for your image. You're representing them for their lives. I mean, literally their lives. It's life or death for them, whether or not you win. And I won't. I just don't think it's acceptable in a lot of manners that a lot of lawyers practice with. So, one, how do you change that? You can't change the lawyers. So become somebody that is not that way. Another thing is, a lot of lawyers will take your money and they'll run. You know, you get these lawyers that they're in it literally to make as much as money as possible. And so they'll overcharge you, and then they'll do a minimum amount of work, and you're left with this, like, hold on, I just got screwed. So, I was talking with him and experience with other lawyers and everything else. I said, well, I can do better than that. It seems to be a trend. So,
it's a good trend.
Yeah, right. So, I was still, fortunately, I just had started school after speaking with my friend from Alabama. I just started school. I left High Pro. I'm in school, and I'm going to be a teacher. I'm doing general studies at the moment. And then I said, well, this is the time to make the decision. So I changed the studies, and I went directly into criminal justice. I want to do, defense, prosecution. I'm not really sure which one yet, because either way, you can still help people. And so, I have this passion. I love to listen to stories and then take that, analyze it, and figure out what was wrong here, what was there, and there's, even if a lot of people ask me, like, what if you're a defense lawyer? And I'm like, well, if I'm a defense lawyer and I have to defend somebody that I know is guilty, at least I can give them not get them off so much. That is the job. You want to get them off, basically, which sucks. But you want to, if you can't get them off, at least give them the punishment that is justifiable.
A fair trial.
A fair trial. A fair punishment. Because you're getting a lot of prosecutors or the Justice Department, really, they're going to stack everything that they can on somebody. Even they're going to stack everything and they're going to slam it on you to hope that something sticks. Well, what if you got something, we'll say selling drugs or something, and they stick you with 10 things and 5 of them stick, and they're like, oh wow, 5 of them stuck, let's just keep them there and we're going to run with them. You literally, for a minor offense, you're literally spending a lot of years in prison for it because all these things are stuck. So yes, there's pros and cons to being a defense lawyer, but then also I kind of want to be a prosecutor and do different things there. So I don't really know yet. Maybe when I get to law school, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And you'll have a better idea, what side both sides are. And
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I think what you're doing is incredible. The way you've grown this foundation, and helping the vets is incredible. I mean, my wife and I, all of our grandpas were vets, and her dad was a Vietnam vet, so it means a lot to us personally here, and I just think it's great. And then the fact you're on top of that, you're trying to be a lawyer, so you got a lot going on. Where can people? You mentioned the website earlier. If you want to say that again,
it's woundedveteransfoundation.com.
And how about social media?
So the best way is going to be our Facebook. That's our primary way to post videos and all sorts of different stuff. We have Instagram, and I think we have Twitter, but I don't know. I think my wife runs that one. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's not really relevant. Nobody I really even know uses Twitter.
Yeah.
But I'm also a different generation. I
think Instagram would be more beneficial for you guys.
Instagram and Facebook is primarily everybody is Facebook, and that's where we post all of our events there. Events we're going to, we post there. New shirts, when we actually have a new shirt in design right now, so we've come up with a new idea, new policy that every year we're going to create a new shirt design. And then we knock off one, so we only have a total of 5 or 6. So this year we've already started our new design. So you'll see it on our Facebook. And so yeah, I mean, Facebook is primarily the biggest one. If you send us a message on there, we'll be able to reply back pretty quickly.
Okay, awesome. Hey, thanks for coming out. Like I said, what you're doing is incredible. We really appreciate it. Look forward to trying to get some of your events this year and check it out. As always, you can email me with any comments, thejakesewellpodcast@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at the JS Podcast and Instagram at the Jake Sewell Podcast. Thanks again.